Imagine being thousands of miles away from land, the ocean stretching endlessly in every direction, and suddenly something goes terribly wrong. You're on what was supposed to be a relaxing, unforgettable cruise until the middle of the night when an urgent call echoes through the ship. The calm is shattered, the mood shifts, and confusion spreads like wildfire among passengers. Whispers begin. Something serious has happened. But no one knows exactly what. Morning arrives with devastating news that no one ever expects on a vacation at sea. This isn't just about bad weather or a missed excursion, this is something far more shocking, far more heartbreaking. And that's not the only unsettling update shaking the cruise world right now. From sudden itinerary changes and serious onboard incidents to terrifying excursions gone wrong, this week has seen it all. But one incident stands out above the rest, something that has left even veteran cruisers stunned and speechless. So what exactly happened? Why are so many people rethinking their next cruise? Stay with me, because the full story, including the tragic headline making waves across the entire cruise industry, is coming up in just a moment. If you find this video helpful or eye-opening, please give it a like, it helps more than you know. Now let's talk about what really happened, the story that has left cruise lovers across the world shaken. Aboard the Diamond Princess, a ship known for its elegance and loyal returning guests, something occurred that no one could have ever prepared for. In the middle of what began as a routine voyage, passengers were jolted from their sleep by a ship-wide announcement calling the medical response team to report immediately to the medical center. The time? Around 2 a.m. Most people didn't know what to make of it. Was it a guest having a health emergency? A crew issue? But nothing could have prepared them for what they'd learn just hours later. When daylight broke and the ship docked in Taiwan, the somber truth emerged. The captain of the Diamond Princess, Captain Mikuel Bartal, had died suddenly during the night. Just 52 years old and known among both crew and returning passengers as one of the finest leaders to ever take the helm, his death wasn't just a tragic loss, it was a moment that stopped the ship's entire atmosphere in its tracks. The mood on board shifted instantly. What was once a joyful vacation now carried the weight of loss and disbelief. Crew members who had worked closely with Captain Bartal spoke of him with deep respect, calling him the best captain they ever sailed with. That's not something said lightly. For a ship as large and busy as the Diamond Princess, the role of captain is not just operational, it's deeply personal. He was the voice of calm, the face of leadership, the one who stood between passengers and uncertainty at sea. What makes this even more unsettling is how fast everything happened. There was no warning, no signs shared publicly. To lose a captain mid-voyage is an extraordinary event in the cruise industry. It's rare. And it immediately raises questions: what happens next? Who takes over? Is the ship still safe to sail? In this case, the transition was smooth in terms of procedure. The staff captain, who was second in command, immediately stepped up to assume full command of the ship. From an operational standpoint, Princess Cruises handled it with professionalism. But emotionally, this wasn't something that could be so easily managed. Passengers reported that the crew carried themselves with grace, but behind the scenes, many were visibly shaken. Imagine working under a captain for months, building trust, building a team, and then losing that leader in the middle of the ocean, with hundreds of guests relying on you to stay calm. It's a human story at its core. It reminds us that these ships, as massive and sleek as they are operated by real people with real emotions. And when tragedy hits, it hits everyone on board, not just the staff, not just the passengers, but the entire floating community that forms the soul of a cruise ship. But the story doesn't end there. This incident has triggered a wave of discussion in the cruise world. People are asking what protocols are in place for sudden medical emergencies involving senior crew. How is communication handled with guests when something this significant happens? Should passengers be informed more quickly, or is it better to wait until details are confirmed? There are no easy answers, and that's part of what makes this moment so profound. It challenges the perception that cruising is always carefree. It's mostly wonderful, of course, an escape, an adventure, but it also has moments that are sobering and real. Meanwhile, the rest of the cruise world hasn't been quiet either. In the Bahamas, another cruise-related tragedy occurred during a shore excursion that ended in disaster. A 22-year-old college graduate, celebrating with friends, fell overboard during a private island boat trip and came into contact with the boat's propeller. The injuries were severe. According to witnesses, the incident happened in a split second. One moment, she was standing with friends, the next, she was in the water. A horrifying scene followed, with passengers rushing to pull her back aboard and blood in the water, signaling the severity of what had just taken place. She remains in critical condition and has undergone surgery, with more to follow. These stories are reminders that while cruising is an incredible way to see the world, things can go wrong. Emergencies, freak accidents, and unexpected medical events don't disappear just because you're on vacation. The industry works tirelessly to prepare for these moments, with emergency drills, trained medical personnel, and contingency plans. But even with all of that in place, some events hit hard, they touch hearts and leave lasting memories that aren't part of the brochure. In the coming weeks, many travelers will board ships just like the Diamond Princess, unaware of the sorrow that ship just endured. But those on board during this event will likely never forget it. It's a moment of reflection, a chance to appreciate the humans who work behind the scenes to keep cruising safe, enjoyable, and, yes, even heroic when circumstances demand it. If you've been on a cruise before, you know that these ships become their own little worlds. And when something like this happens, it's felt deeply. So take a moment to appreciate not just the luxury and fun of cruising, but also the dedication, leadership, and sometimes even sacrifice of those who make these journeys possible. And with that, you're fully caught up on one of the most emotional stories to come out of the cruise industry in recent times. If this video gave you insight or helped you stay informed, please give it a like, it truly helps support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.